when meeting people for the first time, even if we're not aware of it, class perception can still be playing a factor in the judgment in the back of our mind. So we can use the example of Harry Potter. In the first movie, Harry's meeting Ron and Malfoy tells Harry, "You don't want to mess with the wrong sorts." So Ron could be of a poorer family, and being friends with them could actually drag someone down, in theory. And Harry turns and tells Malfoy, "I think I know who the wrong sorts are for myself." And that is actually an accusation towards Malfoy that maybe richer families can also be egotistical, they can be aggressive, they can be ruinous. So sometimes these class perceptions can help us figure out who we should or should not be friends with, but other times it's also possible that they could mislead us, and we might not give someone a chance only for them to prove themselves the worthiest of friends, but at that point it might be too late for friendship, and then in that case, who is the bad one? So again, we want to be careful on the one hand, and on the other hand, keep an open mind. I understand that as human beings, our eyes are drawn to beauty, and we all dream of maybe traveling the world, and especially we want to visit these exotic destinations where inevitably we will find luxury. So again, I don't blame anyone for that. The problem is when we look at other places, maybe more underdeveloped, and we have these apprehensions towards them and the people there. But we might find that when we're talking to people from maybe from poorer places, there is some kind of a correlation between humility in terms of money and character. Now, nobody wants to hear about the money aspect. Not too many people would be willing to, let's say, give up money to find humility and character as well. But that could be the requirement sometimes, or as they say, life will humble people. Maybe misfortunes come, and then someone that had their head held up high will kind of lower it. So that's a little bit of a sad case in that situation. The point is, humility is, as they say, what most adorns a human being. Right, there's something beautiful in humility. So you might find a lot of wisdom and love in someone of a humbler background that would not have been possible to the same level of someone that maybe was born rich and raised with different values. So I think we should give everyone a chance in all places in the world, because besides for people and character, there's also beauty everywhere, even in places that are not so developed. On the other hand, they might have wonderful, untouched nature, or maybe richer culture. There's something about traditional values that's very beautiful, no matter what form they take or where they come from. So again, we want to have a healthy amount of respect for everyone. One of the worst aspects of having and spending money is that a person starts becoming self-conscious. Maybe at first they go inside of a store, they procure a luxury item, and they feel great when they can slap a bunch of bills onto the table and feel powerful, like they could do so much. But someone else will have more and make them feel like they don't have anything. So at one point, maybe they had freedom when they were poor, but with money, they start losing that freedom. They're constantly oppressed by this idea of trying not to judge others for being poorer, yet themselves being judged by someone richer. Now, I wanted to make a segue here and talk about an example I saw on the news. It was in a wealthier neighborhood, so all these nice houses, and there came a landslide that wiped away one of the homes. And I was blown away when I saw on the news these richer people, the neighbors, they were actually crying and saying they couldn't believe this happened to this family because they were all such great people. And you might think maybe they were doing that just in front of the cameras to look good themselves. but I could tell they were being honest. I would say that class isn't always the most determining factor, that behind it again stands character. So, we should not judge people generally, but take them on a case-by-case basis, and not always to be looking outward. So as I mentioned, character, that's inward, and taking care that, as they say, money will not spoil people as much as, or power, as much as reveal their true character. So to make sure that even if fortunes changed, it would not change the character of a person, that it still remains true and right. What do you think of the advice of Confucius when he says, you should only make friends with people who are better than you, and not with people who are worse than you? I think we have to be very careful in reading this advice. On the one hand, it can help people who are overly agreeable, thinking they'll be friends with the world, not to fall in line with bad company, who can either pull them into dangerous activities, or might just be lazy and wasting time, and then cost them their opportunities. So they can learn to be more assertive and set boundaries. On the other hand, there's the danger of becoming too judgmental. If there's a pool of 10 people and 8 are deemed worse and 2 are deemed better, well, this can create self-grandiosity on the one hand. On the other hand, there can breed jealousy of the 2 that are deemed better and hatred towards them. Also, quite related to this, it can turn a person into a leech, like they're looking for a place to attach themselves and just feed off of others. So this is probably not the advice Confucius was thinking of. Confucius was probably thinking of traditional values like industriousness. Meaning, it's not, again, so much a question of class, but more of character. A person has to judge oneself, too, whether they're being the best version of themselves, so between worse and better, the best version of themselves, meaning doing their best work. And I think if multiple people are doing the same thing, trying to make the world a better place, then they will have appreciation for each other, and those are the friends to make. So again, not having much to do with class as character.